Hmm. Hmm. Hey everyone. Not sure. Oh, cool. I'm seeing some people are watching. Hey everyone. This is my first live stream, so I'm trying to get this figured out over here. Welcome, welcome. I believe that you all should be able to chat with me. Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, we got people chiming in here. Yeah, I believe that you all should be able to chat with me. So while I'm getting everything figured out here, welcome and thank you all for joining. Let me know where everybody's from. I'm super curious how many people and from where everyone is coming from. Just feel free to throw it into your chat wherever you're tuning in from. Oh, and hopefully you guys can hear me okay. If you can hear me, maybe it would be awesome to let me know that you can hear me. Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Oh, Sweden. Fantastic. That's so cool. How is the weather over there in Sweden right now? Let me see. I'm trying to see who else is joining. Oh, awesome. Okay. I wonder if there's like a delay because I see the chat showing up much later than everything else. But yeah, for everyone that's joining in, definitely let me know where you're from and where you're tuning in from. It's super, super cool to see where everybody's coming from. And just as a heads up, this is my very first live stream. Oh, nice. From US. Which part of US? If you're in US, yeah, I'm in US as well. I live in Florida, which is like, it's called Coconut Creek, Florida. It's, I would say, 35 minutes northwest of Fort Lauderdale. It's like a suburban Fort Lauderdale. Let me know where you're from. Have you got someone else from Florida? That's awesome. Um, oh, Dubai. That's so cool. Welcome from Dubai. I hear amazing place about Dubai. I would love to go one day. Maybe when we all can travel again. I would love to go there. Midwest Indianapolis. Welcome, welcome. Never been to the Midwest. Um, Yeah, if you're ever out in Fort Lauderdale or the Miami area, definitely feel free to let me know. I'm happy to meet up and grab a beer or whatever. Oh, wow, amazing. So that's so cool. Someone is tuning in from India at 3:32 a.m. just for my program. Well, thank you so much, CH Now 1607. I really appreciate you waking up so early to for my program. I hope that this is going to be recorded so that we can have it for everyone in the future as well. But this is my very first live stream ever, so I'm just trying things out. So hopefully everything goes smoothly. Oh, awesome! We got someone from Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Bem-vindo, cara. Carlos Silva. Bem-vindo. Um, my wife is from Brazil, so eu falo um pouquinho português. Um, greetings from Costa Rica. Awesome. Yeah, everyone throwing out where you're from. I'm just making sure that everyone is able to see everything okay here. Want to give me a few moments. We'll give it maybe like, what time is it? Maybe give it another like 3 more minutes for everyone to jump in. Let's see here. Yeah, if anyone wants to friend me on LinkedIn, you definitely can. Let me share my LinkedIn profile with you. I'm happy to connect with as many of you all as possible and build an awesome community of test automation masters. Let me share my profile for anyone that wants to friend me and we can, chat or whatever you want to talk about. Um, I threw that in the chat. Hopefully everyone sees it. We got Serbia. Welcome, Serbia. Super awesome. Poland. Poland's super awesome. I've never been to Poland, but I hear great things. A few more minutes, guys. So while everyone is tuning in, thank you all again so much for tuning in. I'm gonna guess you all can hear me okay now that people are answering. I'm hoping to teach you all some cross-browser parallelization today with JUnit and WebDriver. Hopefully, I make it super easy for all of you, and in the future, you all can do exactly the same thing. I'll be sure to share the code as well. So here's what I'm going to start saying about the questions. Questions, once I start the presentation, I think it would be really good for you all to throw all the questions into the chat. And afterwards, I'm going to take a bunch of time and start answering the questions in the chat. Just so I'm going to have a flow. Hopefully, I answer a bunch of people's questions through my presentation. And at the end, I'll answer any other questions that were left unanswered through my presentation. Yeah, if anyone wants to connect on Twitter as well, I know that everyone has different social medias that they like to personally use. Let me share that with you all as well. You can connect with me on Twitter, and we can keep in touch there for sure. Okay, cool. It's 6:06 here Eastern time. Yeah, oh, so I was saying I live in Florida, but I'm actually in Maryland now. I drove up to visit my parents, whom I haven't seen in such a long time. So it was a 14-hour drive. But with the COVID situation, I don't know when I'm going to see them next. So I figured I would take some time to spend with them for the next few weeks. Okay, cool. So it's 6:07. I think it's an okay time to get started. I believe that this thing can be recorded in the future. So fingers crossed that it's going to be recorded. I believe it will. And if not, you guys are the lucky ones to be here now. Oh, cool. We got Beltsville, Maryland. Yeah, I am in Germantown, Maryland right now. I think Beltsville is like close to Baltimore, right? Okay, cool. Awesome. So let's jump into this. Let me see if I can share my screen. Cool. So let me see here. Hopefully you all can see my screen. Let me check the chat to make sure that you all can see my screen. Can you all see my screen? Just give me a yes if you can, please. I'll just wait for that in a moment. Oh, that's so cool. So there's someone that grew up in Germantown, Maryland one. Oh, still not able to see your screen. Um, no, no one can see my screen. It says sharing. Can you all see? So right now I'm showing a browser with Sauce Labs in there. Can you all see that? Cannot see that? Webcam currently, I think. Still getting those. Anyone seeing the screen? No, still no to screen sharing. Let's try it again. Let me see here. Your entire screen, share. Man, this will be sucky if I can't share my screen. Let's see here. How about now? Can you all see that? Can you all see IntelliJ? No. All right, let's see here. Let's play with the settings. Sorry, my very first time ever doing a live stream. I wonder if turning off my camera will make it better. I'm just gonna turn off disable camera. Let me share the screen again. Sharing the screen. How about now? Can you all see that? I think you may try closing the cam. Yeah, trying to closing the cam. Can you all see my screen? Oh, you know what I wonder too? Yeah, no one can see my screen. Um, I'm using Restream.io. Let me see here. Sorry, friends. I thought this would have been much easier. I saw the share screen button here, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so easy. You just press it, and it's going to work, right? But of course, technology is never as easy as we hope it is. Oh, it's black. Oh, it's black. Well, do you guys see me scrolling at all through anything? Maybe you need to share primary screen. No. Yeah, unfortunately, I have a laptop, so I don't have any extra screens. Let's try this again. I wonder, oh, you know what I bet? Let me see here. Yeah, Restream is allowed access to my camera and microphone. Um, done. Let me see here. Give me a second. Yeah, that's great suggestion with the smoke test first. But that's the funny thing is like, how do you do a smoke test with a live stream, you know? Um, interesting. So let me see here. Avatar type of black screen. Sorry, friends. Let me see here. Monitor. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. How about now? Can you guys see that? I think I was able to do it. Let's see. Let's see the responses. I see something. Yes. Awesome. Man. All right. This is a good application for you all if you want to do future streams. Good app, but man, I screen sharing should not have been so difficult. All right, fantastic. Awesome. I'm getting a bunch of yeses. Um, cool. All right, cool. So it looks like we're getting a bunch of yeses. Fantastic. All right, cool. So let's begin. I've wasted enough of your guys' time. Thank you all so much for your patience. With that said, I got a little presentation here I want to show you all, and then we'll actually start getting into the code. So Today we are all talking about advanced cross-platform parallelization with JUnit and WebDriver. So I think a lot of you all know me, but if you don't, I'm a senior solutions architect at Sauce Labs. All that it really means is just a fancy title, meaning that I have a bunch of test automation experience, and now I am fortunate enough to work with customers literally all over the world, from different team sizes, from very small teams that are like super fast and agile to extremely huge teams like hundreds of billions of dollars companies. And I help them with test automation, implementation with all different types of tools. Selenium is of course in there, but it goes deeper than that, from like API testing to unit testing, all that kind of stuff, making everybody more efficient, execute faster, execute in parallel. So it's actually a really cool job because I get such a broad experience of what's going on in the world. You know, like a lot of us are usually we know what's going on in our workplace and maybe we work with several teams, but I get like a sample size of the entire world, which is super cool. But most importantly, I'm an animal lover. So, browser market share. If you want to go to this URL and check out the browser market share, you will notice that over 80% of the usage of all the browsers comes from Chrome and Safari, from two browsers. So what does that mean for us if we're doing cross-browser automation? Well, it means that if we want to cover 80% of the users out there in the entire world, we really only need to start with two browsers. And really, it's only for the majority of us, only two browsers will ever really be important. Furthermore, I actually tried to find metrics on this and I did a bunch of Google searching, but it was really hard to find. Like all I could find was people promoting like their tools and saying how cross-browser stuff is important and how there are still cross-browser bugs. But from my experience, and I would actually be curious from your guys' experience as well, I don't remember the last time I seen a functional cross-browser bug. Now, functional is a very important keyword here, meaning that we're testing how the application actually behaves, right? Like clicking buttons, filling out forms, right? Typing in text into fields. When was the last time that any of us saw something working in Chrome and that something else, for example, not working in Firefox or not working in IE? Now, the difference between Chrome and Safari, those are a little bit more drastic. And so there's some potential there. And so that's why kind of ultimately my cross-browser automation strategy here for us. And again, this is for the majority of us. Some of us, of course, are maybe working on IE. Some of us may be working on Edge because that's where our customers are. That's totally okay. But again, I'm kind of trying to generalize here and create a strategy for the majority of us, which should be efficient. Number one, we start functional tests first on Chrome. Once we get those functional tests on Chrome, we're going to get to an extremely high reliability. Greater than 90% pass rate is what I strongly recommend. Once we know that our tests are extremely reliable and provide really good signal as opposed to noise, then we add in Safari, because Safari can potentially introduce a little bit of functional differences as compared to Chrome. And once we add in Safari, then we just make sure we maintain that reliability, right? We're going to go in, we're going to fix the differences that exist, resolve those issues, and then move on from there. Cool. So that's pretty much our strategy. So now we're actually going to make the code happen. So let me actually turn on my camera here as well, just so you guys can see. Oh, agree, two screens are displayed. Hello. Can you enlarge the presentation? Oh, you guys see two screens. Okay, so let me see this. Thank you. Sorry for that. So I wonder if this thing, are you guys getting sound now? Hmm. Can you guys hear me now? Sound is back. Sound is back, but I bet you guys are getting two screens, right? Yeah, it's like no winning with this one. You guys are my smoke test because I couldn't figure out how to do a smoke test of this because it's live, right? It's like how do you smoke test a live thing without looking like an idiot? But I guess it's better to look like an idiot in front of hundreds of people. Um, Let me see if I can turn off the other screen. I don't think I can turn off the other screen, unfortunately. That's that. Oh, maybe this. No, this is weird. This is two screens. This is one screen. Is this one screen or two screens? Yeah, the inception will disappear. I'll show it. This is the inception will disappear. Two screens. Is this okay? Two screens. Is this a better view for you guys than this other view? Is that all right? I'm doing this, and we're gonna see what happens. No, but bigger. Okay, I'm gonna go with two screens, and Spotlight puts. Oh, I see you. I see where how this is working. Man, this is silly. I think I got it, guys. Hmm. One screen, one screen and audio. Now, how about now? Can you guys hear me? I think I did it. I think I did it. I see a thing moving, and I see that I'm in Spotlight. Yes. How many automation engineers does it take to work a streaming platform? 100. That is the answer. All right. It took, guys, we just smoke tested Restream.io. So I'm gonna send them an invoice for 100 engineers spending 15 minutes testing their platform. I'll send you guys each a piece of the pie. Thank you all. All right, cool, perfect. So it looks like we're good to go. Um, so let's do this. So here's the code. Let's make sure you guys can. I'm showing IntelliJ right now. Let's make sure you guys can see IntelliJ, and after that, it's pretty much smooth sailing. I just showed IntelliJ super briefly. Can you guys? Did you guys see IntelliJ? Cool. All right, fantastic. So here I got a little solution. Nothing too special. All I have here is this random feature test, extending a base test class. You can see it just has two simple tests, a test that should log in and one that adds item to cart. Whenever we pull down any code, the very first thing we want to do is run a Maven test to make sure that it's working and to make sure, that we know the current state of our automation. So we'll let that run. So cool. So those just ran. We can see here 4 tests were successful. That's because actually I have some unit tests in here, a dummy unit test, one dummy unit test. You can see that I have my two random feature tests. They executed and passed, and then I also have an integration test. So everything is good. Everything was super successful. So now, and also you guys saw that it basically just ran on Chrome. Let's take a look. See, it's just using WebDriver Manager to run on Chrome, and it was local Chrome. So now we just need to make this run in massive parallel. So now that we basically got this working on Chrome and we basically achieved our 100% reliability, right? I just showed you guys it ran, and then I'm sure if I keep running it, it'll keep passing. That's not going to be a problem. So now at this point, we want to start introducing um, more parallelization. So let's go ahead and do that, and I will show you guys how to do that. There's actually, one second, this really annoying snippet that I'm not going to waste your guys' time with, but what I'm going to do instead is just copy it, and then I'll explain to you all what it means, just because I don't want to waste you guys' time copying. So I'm going to come here and grab this snippet here of creating a driver, and we're going to drag that over. And so what I'm going to start doing is actually I'm going to use a remote grid for this. Why I really like remote grids is because they do all the work for you. Um, they do all the work for you of setting up your entire infrastructure, and all I have to do is plug into it. And of course, I work at Sauce Lab, so I get a free grid. But you guys can do whatever you want. I'm not here to promote any specific remote grid. You can pay for a grid as a service, or you can create your own. It's totally up to you. I'm here basically to just provide you the approach of how to make it happen. The internals, that's up to you to make that happen. So I'm going to come here and I am going to replace this with this code right here. Oh, and actually I don't need this here because it's exactly the same thing or that. Let's just fix the spacing just to make sure. Okay, cool. So obviously it's complaining about a bunch of stuff. Let's just do our imports. I'm doing option enter here to just import everything, import that class. Here, just to start, what we're going to do is set the platform name to Windows 10. The browser version, we're going to do latest. I'll explain these in a moment. Please be patient with me. And browser name is going to be Chrome. This we can just comment out for now. And this we just need to import. And we just got to import that. And it'll complain about the exceptions. See, add exception. So let's add exception to method signature. Fantastic. And of course here it'll complain about adding exception to method signature. So we're done there. Okay, cool. So, and I'm going to get rid of this. We no longer need to set up a local driver. Get rid of that. Okay, cool. So what did we do here? All this is basically just a way to hook up to a grid as a service provider, right? All the grids pretty much do it in the same way, whether it's Sauce Labs, Browser Stack, whatever you want to use. Here I'm just setting environment variables, my username and access key. Here we are setting up the mutable capabilities for Sauce Labs. So here I'm saying my username is coming from that variable, my access key is coming from that variable. Here we're just setting a command timeout to 30 seconds. And then over here, we are setting up browser capabilities actually. So you can see I'm saying that we're going to use Windows 10 and we're going to use the latest version of Chrome. And then we are passing in our Sauce options object, the entire object into our Sauce options string right here. And so then this, we're going to take, here's the URL of the hub, right? If you have a local hub, you'll have your different URL. And so then we just create a new remote web driver with a URL, that's that URL. And then the browser options, which is this object here that has all of this plus all of that combined. Cool. And then at the end, we just got our cleanup method that's just quitting our driver. And before every single test method, we are creating the driver. So with that, let's give this a run and see if I messed anything up. Again, this is totally live. I've done this a few times, but you never know what can go wrong when it's live. So I'm going to run Maven test. It's running. You can see how it's a little bit slower because it's running in the cloud. So if we come in here, let me sign in. Give a second. Okay, cool. Oh, so you can see that we have a job here that's being executed. Let's take a look at the job. Awesome. So this is our test. This is one of our tests that executed. And this one, here, 1 second. Test results, error, complete. Here, you guys can see just a minute ago, we just ran two jobs, right? This one and this one, this was both of my tests. We can come in here, we can take a look to make sure that they were my tests. Give it a second. Of course, it has to load up, but then once it loads up, here's my test, comes in, adds an item to a cart, boom, done. Super simple. So keep in mind, some weird things here are these weird names, right, that I'm not liking. So we're going to go ahead and fix that later. But so far, okay, so we introduced a cloud grid provider. Let me just make sure you guys are all doing okay before I proceed. Cool. Yeah, keep, I should have mentioned this since everyone joined. Throw your questions in the chat. After I'm done with my presentation, I'm going to go through and try to answer as many questions as I can in my time. So just keep throwing them in, and then afterwards I'll go in. So but it seems everyone is good. I'm not getting any complaints. Cool. So why did I introduce a Selenium grid here? Because number one, for parallelization absolutely critical to test automation. Number two, because I don't want to be maintaining my own Safari and Chromes, and also I just want someone else to do it for me. So when you use a Selenium grid, it's really easy to start up your own Safari browser or Chrome browser and so on and so forth. And so this will allow me to make that happen. And actually, I will show you guys how we make that happen. Let me paste in another snippet of code here that's very annoying to write out, and we will make cross-browser parallelization happen. So I'm going to come here and take this right here. 1 second. This giant blob here. I'll explain to you guys what it is. But again, just for the interest of time and people not falling asleep, I like to be a little prepared. So you can see this is just a massive array. Let me just import here, just import that, import the collection, and import the array. Cool. Oh, also, I don't really like this. I don't know how many of y'all are aware, but what you can do here is actually add on a static import. So that static import will then just come up here. You can see that, and then I get to remove that extra word, and so then I can use that parameters here. So all this is a large collection of strings, right? You can see, and my large collection of strings, what I'm passing in here is a browser, the platform, and then the browser version. And so for our cross-browser automation, what's important is usually to go back 2 versions of Chrome, right? Because Chrome automatically updates itself. So that's why, sorry, here are my 2 versions of Chrome. You can see I have Chrome latest and Chrome latest -1. And then I'm also testing on 2 different versions of Mac, this version of Mac and this version of Mac. Okay, so this is basically 4 different combinations right here. Plus, I'm also testing Safari. I'm also testing Safari on 2 different Macs. Now, we probably could have done also Safari latest -1 as well to test more, and we also probably could have done it on Windows, but honestly, there's no real benefit to testing something on Windows versus Mac because at least in my experience, without having hard data, this is just experience, have rarely seen a bug that happens on Windows or Mac, that doesn't happen on the platform. So this is really all we cared about. But now the reason why I made the rest of this so big and duplicated actually was just to show you guys parallelization and also how fast something can be when it's parallelized and also basically the power of it. It's just the rest of it is just redundant. But so now what we can do is implement the rest of this. So what we need to do to implement the rest of this is be passing in each of these rows is basically going to create a test. So every test that we have is going to multiply by one of these rows. Okay. And by the way, you can data drive this from anywhere. You can data drive this from a JSON file, from a database, I'm just doing it here for simplicity. And also assuming that your browser requirements, cross-browser requirements are pretty static, which they usually are, right? If you're working on an application, usually the requirement is that we need to support these browsers because they support 80% of our usage. If you need to add anything else, you just come in and add an extra row. So this is sufficient for me. So to implement this, what we need to do is start adding parameters. I'll show you guys how to do that. And so what I'm going to do is come here and start parameterizing these capabilities right here. So here for platform, I'm going to call this, instead of a hard-coded string, I'm going to call it platform. Here we're going to do browser version. And then over here, we're going to do browser. Yeah, browser is good, right? Cool. Oh, browser is good. So of course the compiler complains that none of these exist. So let's quickly create fields. Create field one. This one is not going to be a Boolean. It's going to be a string. Okay. Then the problem here is that we need to make it a parameter. So we're going to do parameter. There you go. So this says to IntelliJ that this is one of our parameters. And because it's the very first one is a 0th index, it corresponds to this one, which is actually not right as I talk about it. So our platform should be parameter number 2. So that will be index 1. Okay. So, and it also can't be private. You can see here it's grayed out because it's not being used. So if you make it public, you'll see it becomes purple. Fantastic. Let's continue. Create a field. This will be a string. It'll also parameter. And then this one, our browser version. Which one is that? Let's see here. Browser version is the third one. So it'll be index 2. And then it's private. So let's fix that and make it public. Fantastic. And then browser, we'll create a field. That'll be a string as well. It'll be a parameter. And then this one won't have any because it's the first one, and the first one is 0 by default, which is browser right there, right? We're using Chrome. Good. Just got to make it public. Fantastic. All right. So you can see that that's worked. And so now, ultimately what's going to happen here is before every single test, this is going to get called. The driver is going to get created. It's going to look for these 3 parameters. These 3 parameters are going to get passed in. For every single row is going to be 1 test. And so we have 2 tests, right here. We have 2 tests. And so we're going to have 2 tests multiplied by this many rows. And so it's going to be 100 tests running in parallel if I did everything correctly. And then the only other thing we need to add is here on top, add also that this is parameterized. I was complaining. I think it's not parameterized. 1 second. I always forget the name of this guy. It is, give me a second. It should be, man, I can't remember what this guy's called. Let me see. Actually, maybe we're good. Let me see. Let's try it. Let's try it and see what happens. We're going to do Maven test. Oh, actually, and I don't want to keep running these unit and integration tests. So we'll just use dash d test equals. So now we're just focusing only on feature test. There you go. So that'll only run tests that end in feature test. So if I did this correctly, they should run 100 tests in parallel. So we got something going here. No, it failed. Let's see why it failed. It failed because no pointer, create driver. Let's see here. Let's keep looking. No browser or device specified in session request. Oh, yeah, it's exactly what I was trying to do, which was, let me see here. Random feature test. It's run with. That's what I was messing up. Run with parameterized dot class. Yeah, always so hard to spell parameterized, right? There you go. So here, this class, we're telling it that we're running it with parameters. And so now every time any one of these test methods gets executed, they're going to read from our parameters that we have in base test. So let's give this another shot, see what happens. Again, totally live. Failures are totally possible. So running tests. Cool, looking good. Let's go in here and see. If everything was successful, I should see, boom, there it is, maxing out my 100 virtual VMs. So you can see here, I've got a bunch of tests running in parallel. There's 100 of them. They should be done pretty quickly while they're exiting. You can already see a bunch are finishing. I will come in here and make sure everything is okay. You guys looking okay. I haven't seen any complaints, just some really good questions, which, yeah, if you have questions, please post. I will answer them towards the end of the session. Cool. So let's proceed. Cool. So you can see all our tests are finished. Let's quickly take a look here. Give this a second more to finish. There it is. Oh, got some errors. Interesting. Got one null pointer. So 93 tests executed, one error, 53 seconds. Not bad. So you know what I noticed is I'm using a weaker machine these days. So I do get sometimes like these very rare exceptions where I think my just machine can't handle so much parallelization, but it's rare. Usually if I ran this in like a CI/CD platform, it wouldn't be a problem. And most of the time, like when I run it here, it passes very easily. But again, like I said, sometimes maybe, but probably because I'm streaming plus also running 100 threads in parallel, that definitely chokes my RAM. So I bet that's kind of making stuff fail, but no big deal. Even if it fails, that's actually not very relevant to this thing. I did want to just show you guys how fast 100 tests can run when they are coded really well and follow best practices. So here they're running. By the way, you can notice some things here. All the browsers and operating systems are shown here, but notice these are really crappy names, and we're going to fix those in a moment. Right. I bet a few tests will fail again, unfortunately, but it's okay. We're gonna move on. See how much time I got left. Running. Let's see if you guys are doing okay. Cool, you guys are doing great. Thank you all for your patience. This is my very first live stream for everyone that's joining in. So I was a little rough in the beginning. You guys were my smoke test, but future iterations shall be much better. All right, so it's running. I think there's tests hanging. There's this one test that's hanging. See that? So frustrating, but let's let it finish. While it finishes, let's take care of those crappy test names. So how do we fix those? So this I actually don't need. So this we can fix those by doing this code right here. I'll paste that in as well. I like to avoid typing, especially live. So we can just copy this. I'll tell you guys what it's all about. Let's paste that up here. So here I'm introducing a JUnit. And so a JUnit rule basically, sorry, let me just finish importing everything. Imported test name. And so basically what's going to happen here is every single test method is going to execute. And what this JUnit rule is allowing me to do is basically capture the method name of every single test that's being executed, right? So in our case, we are going to be able to capture like this or this with this part right here. And then, of course, we're just doing some formatting. And so here we're just basically instantiating a new class. And then we have a method called getMethodName. And so what that allows us to do is set this capability here that says test name.getMethodName. And then, like as I already showed you, it'll capture those method names. And even better, what I've done previously here with my copy and paste example, in my parameters, you can see I'm setting a name property and I'm doing this 0. What that's actually going to do is it's going to take in my 0th parameter and my first parameter values, right? And so that's this value right here, and this value right here, which are basically just coming from, the same associated variables of the class. And so now it will make my names look much cleaner and better. Oh, and by the way, you can see I got 102 tests executed, including my unit test, and I don't know why one test took so long. 2 minutes, 12 seconds. Hopefully a lot of you are saying that's not bad, but I've actually ran this as fast as like 45 seconds before, and I'm sure if I ran it on my other beefier machine, it'll be even faster. But let's run this again now with the prettier test names. And let me see, did I even get the right feature test? Yeah, this should be good. This should only execute 100 tests now. Let's give this a run. So let's go back and check Sauce Labs. In a second, we should see 100 tests being executed, and all will have nice names, much better than they all. See that? So check it out. So we have our method names, which are very easy to read. Every one of us should have method names that signify. So this one should add one item to cart, right? Hopefully it understands what that method is testing. This one is in, and hopefully, and then you can see here's parameters that we added to make our test names look cleaner. Okay, so the other thing that you might see here is we're getting this check mark here, which is actually telling Sauce Labs that the test was finished, but Sauce Labs doesn't know the status of this test yet. And so I actually want to set the status of the test so that we can use it for reporting, right? We can use it for analytics. We can use it for anything, and we can search for past tests versus failed tests, and not only look at complete tests, because complete tests don't really signify much. So we can do that, and we do that using a test watcher. So test watcher class existing here. See that I've previously coded it up. And all it is a class that extends test watcher from JUnit. So basically, if you want to be doing any kind of reporting on different test status from JUnit, you want to do this. You want to have a class that extends your test watcher. And that's why I'm showing you this. The platform that I'm using is irrelevant, but what's important here is how do you report based on past status or failed status from JUnit. And so here you can see we have a succeeded method that comes from test watcher. And so in here, we have logic that basically passes in a past status to Sauce Labs. And actually, I should rearrange this because I should put that in here because a driver can be null. By the way, if most of you didn't know, if you want to do anything with a driver after a test, make sure you're checking it's not null. It's very possible, especially with remote test execution, that your driver can be null. So here just basically saying, hey, if the test succeeded, then pass this status to Sauce Labs. If you want to do any kind of reporting, right, you can report to Jira, you can report to TestRail, you can do logs, you can create your pretty HTML reports here based on succeeded status. And here's based on failed status. I'm going to fix this part as well so that it's better. And then, of course, you always want to be quitting the driver because that ultimately kills it. And now let's just go ahead and actually implement it. You can see that it's not being used anywhere. That's why it's gray. So to implement it, let's just go ahead and copy some more code. Again, just want to avoid as much coding as possible live. Let's see here. Let me put that here underneath this rule. Another test JUnit rule. You can see here we're just creating a new class, instantiating our new Sauce Test Watcher. I'm actually going to rename it. I don't like this factory name. Sauce Test Watcher seems fine to me. So let's take this, right? And what we want to do is every time we create a driver, we want to pass that driver to our Sauce Test Watcher. Now, again, you can be using a totally different test watcher, but if you want to use a driver, you have to pass the driver to it. And you can see that I've created it. It's a driver method that basically just takes that in, sets the driver, now the driver, and now we can use it to do any kind of stuff that we want. And so with all of that done, we should now be able to set pass-fail status on tests in Sauce Labs. And again, if you want to do any extra reporting, that's where it would go. So let's execute that and see what happens. Let me check on you guys. No new concerns. That's really good. I guess it is true what they say. No news is good news, right? So here you'll see a bunch of tests running. By now you should probably be passing. Let me filter those out. Let's see. I don't care about in progress. See the difference between passed is a green check mark and complete was a blue check mark. So now you see passed status and error. Not seeing any pass status. If I messed it up, I messed it up. No big deal. We'll figure that out. What happened and why it didn't work. Yeah, they're all getting complete status for now. So let's see what I did wrong here. I instantiated the Sauce Test Watcher. I'm setting the driver. And let me see this error here. What it's complaining about. No such session ID. Let me see. What did I mess up? Oh, this might do it. So this is this will do it. So this is an after every single test. So here is what I messed up. It's funny. I've done this multiple times before. So basically we have a test, right? This test, before it gets executed, what gets executed first is the before, right? The before, which creates the driver and sets the Sauce Test Watcher, and then that does all that. It'll start the session, and afterwards, I not only have JUnit trying to do stuff on succeed and failure, I also have an after hook that's also trying to do this, but the sessions are already over. So we just need to get rid of this, and that'll hopefully solve that problem. Let's give this another shot. A lot of good lessons learned when we make mistakes. Let me filter out. There we go. Fantastic, right? See, getting a bunch of success test now. 3 names, everything that we need in here. Okay, fantastic. Let me see if we are missing anything else here. Let me see. I think we are pretty great. We have great looking test names. We are running in massive parallel, which you also, oh, by the way, I didn't show you guys how easy it is to do parallelization with JUnit. I'm using JUnit 4. Let's take a look at my POM XML. You just do parallelization with Maven Surefire plugin. So here's that plugin. Set the parallel attribute to all. So it'll run methods and classes in parallel. And then you set your thread count to the maximum amount of threads that for maybe your cloud provider gives you, or if you're running on your local resources or even on like a Jenkins slave or something, you have to figure out how many threads is too much before you start killing your RAM. So 100, you can see I can handle that comfortably. And I have a 16 gig RAM machine, 16 gig RAM Mac. So, 100 is pretty easy. And that's pretty much it. And it's JUnit 4. JUnit 5 parallelization is a little bit different. And other than that, I think we are good. Let me see if, let me see if I got anything else for you guys. Yeah, one thing I wanted to say to you guys is, here before we wrap up and I start answering questions is kind of as a thank you all for your time and putting up with my smoke tests. Everyone that took their time, we're giving you guys 20% off the complete Selenium with Java bootcamp for the next 24 hours. So if you're interested, just so you know, if you want, I don't know who wants to improve their skills or whatnot, I just figured I'd make that offer. You just go to this URL, selenium-java, and then you'll just use this coupon code at checkout, webinar-20, and then you'll get your 20% off. Again, just wanted to share it because I don't know who wants potentially to improve their skills and get a course for cheaper. But again, thank you guys so much for your time, tuning in, listening to me, watching me do smoke testing of the Restream platform. And so that's kind of my thank you gift for you guys. So now let me go ahead and just start tackling questions here that you all have. I'm going to stop sharing. And let me share my camera and stop sharing the screen. There's my camera. Cool. Okay, hopefully you all can hear me and see me. Let me check my settings. Yeah, I can see that the mic is moving. All right. Just give me a quick thumbs up if you can hear me and see me. Thumbs up if you can hear me and see me, please. Cool. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Cool. Let me start hitting up some questions. Let's see here. What software are you using? XSplit. Oh, okay. That was Restream. Yeah, that was my testing of Restream. By the way, I'm scrolling through the chat here and I see that I got a thumbs up from Restream saying I've achieved 100 messages in my chat, and that it was most of them were all me troubleshooting the Restream platform. So it's like a scheme, they make it hard so that you guys chat more, pop up my stats. Let's take a look here. Not seeing many questions, lots of conversation, which is really awesome. Okay, cool. So here someone asked if I find myself using Basetest for browser options, configuration setup, or what are your thoughts on using a config file such as an XML YAML for patching the platform? Oh, yeah, that's a fantastic question. Hold on, Riot. So the question is basically using a base test class, right? Basically hard coding values as I showed you all in a class versus using a config file like an XML or YAML for passing in platform, browser version name, etc. So let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each one. The way I showed you, the disadvantage of that one is that it's in code. So it means that if we want to update our browser or operating system or blah, 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 then we have to recompile the code. And so that can affect everybody that is using our code. And if we make an error, we can break everybody. So that is the problem there. The advantage of it is, and I would guess a lot of our cases for cross-browser testing are that usually we work on a single application, maybe even a few applications, but those applications have to work on some specific environments. And those environments are usually pretty static, right? If you're supporting Chrome today, tomorrow your support for Chrome is not going to disappear. And so basically, really, once you code that in, it's pretty much good to go. What can change is probably the version. But if you're keeping it with latest, like I was showing you guys, then latest is should be working okay. So that's the advantages of base tests and disadvantages. Configuration, you can do that as well, YAML or XML. That's no problem. I have a colleague. He likes to use a YAML file. Why does he like to use file? Because what he does actually is he runs a different browser configuration pipeline per browser configuration. So let's say you're running across Chrome and Mac. He likes to run a CI pipeline for Chrome and a CI pipeline for Mac. And of course, each of those is like executing their own suites of tests. And so then you kind of know which suite is better or not. But I like that approach. But the disadvantage there is now you have to code like a large switch case statement that basically parses any possible configuration that you want. So you can say, you can do Maven test and then pass in like a configuration, say like Chrome underscore Firefox or Chrome underscore Safari. And now you have to write the logic to understand that. So up to you what you want to do. I kind of try to give you the advantages, disadvantages. So here someone says TestNG is better for reporting rather JUnit. You could easily, iTest listeners. Yes, excellent point. TestNG does make it easier for reporting. However, TestNG is not natively thread safe. I've actually done a presentation on this in the past. If you go to my YouTube channel and search for parallelization with TestNG and JUnit, to make tests run in parallel is drastically harder with JUnit because it's not, with TestNG because it's not natively thread safe. As a result, I go to JUnit because parallelization is critical in test automation. Reporting, I don't think is that critical. It's important, not so critical in test automation. So I like to use things that make my life easier as opposed to harder. So I lean to the JUnit side, even if TestNG does make reporting a little easier. Let's see here. Is this webinar recorded? I really hope so. I believe it should be. This is my very first live stream ever. So I believe that the different platforms I'm live streaming to should automatically record it. If not, by the way, I've created something similar in the Complete Selenium Java course that I shared with you all. So you can go get it there, but I don't want to be salesy or anything like that. But it is there if you want it. It's going to be actually added there pretty soon. But yeah, I hope I can share this with you guys after. Thoughts on WinApp driver. We have desktop application. And the thought of using Selenium, like, oh yeah, you can't use Selenium for desktop application. Selenium is only for browser automation. That is it. It is a browser automation tool. You can't automate PDFs with it. You can't automate Excel with it. You can't read CSVs with it. It's only for browser automation. So for your desktop application, you definitely have to go with WinApp Driver. WinApp Driver actually sits on top of Selenium anyway. So the W3C protocol. Let's see here. So makes sense. Say you need to hit multiple URLs, such as different not-prod environments, or make it even more interesting if a client has a .com and a .ca. Yeah. So by the way, I am all for using configuration files, especially YAML or XML or JSON, especially for environments. Environments, you can be using that stuff. Environments are really good. Trying to think what else, especially in test automation, probably environments is the main thing that you can put inside of a config file. Of course, if you want to put your browsers and operating systems in there, you can put that as well. Probably other than that, not many other things. If you're like reading from database, right, you can put your connection strings in there. Basically anything that like you want to change without affecting the code, you can put in a configuration file. What I do find from my experience with so many clients all over the world is configuration files tend to be over abused, meaning so many things go in there that don't need to be in there, like element locators or like page object configurations and stuff like that. That stuff doesn't need to be in there. If you have to fix code, that needs to, if code has to be fixed, fix the code. Don't move it into a config file that you then have to parse and understand the logic of how to parse it. So don't overabuse the config files. That is an excellent question. So someone asked, when we're using remote driver, do you still need WebDriver? That is an excellent question. So let's actually take a look at that together. I don't want to get into the whole game of sharing the screen versus sharing my voice, right? That was a pain. So actually, if you take a look at the WebDriver, right? I'm going to paste that here, what I'm talking about in the chat. So WebDriver is an interface, right? So what an interface is something that other classes implement, right? While if you look at a remote WebDriver is a concrete class. It means that remote WebDriver actually implements WebDriver. I wish you guys can see it, but I'm pasting the code in the chat for you all. So remote WebDriver implements WebDriver. So now I think I know what you meant by do you still need WebDriver, but you're by default using the WebDriver interface when you're using a remote driver. However, the purpose of a remote driver is to allow you execution through a Selenium grid, which is exactly what we did. So once you start executing through a Selenium grid, you don't use the concrete WebDriver implementation. When I say concrete WebDriver implementation, what I mean is Chrome driver or Safari driver, right? Those are concrete local implementations of the WebDriver interface. A remote WebDriver is a concrete implementation of the WebDriver interface that allows us to go through a Selenium grid. So you see the two differences basically. One you're doing locally, in which case you're using Chrome driver, Safari driver, Firefox driver, so on. And then the other one, you're doing a remote WebDriver to do through a Selenium grid, whether your own or a Selenium grid as a service provider. Okay, so hopefully that makes a difference for you guys. All right, awesome. I think that is pretty much it. Let me share the code with you all just so you can reference it in the future if you want it. Give me a moment here. I will drop that in for you all into the chat. Give me a second. Cool. So here's the code where you can go check it out. Don't forget, you can, if you got questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'll give you guys both of those. Reach out to us there. Hit me up. I'm happy to talk stuff through. Also, if yeah, that should be good. And of course, if anyone is interested in getting more such training plus other Selenium Java training, I'll share the link with you all here. You can get that there. And then for everyone here for the next 24 hours, just because I don't want anyone after who's watching the recording to get this bonus just for you guys live. You just use that coupon code. Yeah, so John, I believe that, oh, sorry, on the GitHub link, I'll fix the GitHub link in a second. Sorry, yeah, John, I do believe that this is being recorded, and I believe that in the future it should appear on the streaming platforms. This is my very first live stream. Let me check the GitHub. Sorry about that. We'll send the GitHub, resend the GitHub. One moment. GitHub. Interesting. Let me see here. Code. Give me a second. Massive parallel. Oh, yeah, I know why I messed it up. Sorry about that. Here is the GitHub again. This one should not give you a 404. Confirm with me. Other than that, I believe you are all set. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day for tuning in. I hope that I taught you all something useful and that you all can take to your workplaces and make your automation even more awesome. I'm planning on doing these Git links work perfect. Yeah, I'm planning on doing this way more often because this was super cool, minus the technical difficulties we had in the beginning. But again, thank you all. This was super awesome. Again, happy to have you all here, and take care, everyone. Have an awesome day.